thank you all for coming. My name's Dave Abbott. I have the privilege of serving as the president of the board of directors of the Cleveland Public Market Corporation, the new nonprofit that has been tasked with restoring, improving, and in some ways transforming the West Side Market. And today marks a pivotal milestone in the market's history as we break ground on the physical improvements that are part of our master plan. And when we're done with those, we'll be able to break ground in a new way when we do programming to educate children and families, to create jobs and new businesses, and to reach out into neighborhoods around the city that don't have access to fresh food. And we'll do that in ways that may surprise you as time goes on. That dream, that vision of a market that is a great place, a greater place to come and shop and to visit, as well as one that has much greater impact on the community, is something that's been a long time coming. And it's one of those projects that isn't just talked about. Today, we take a step toward making it a reality, a big step. And I'm so glad that you're here to help us. And as you probably can tell from this crowd, this is a project of such complexity and size that it can only happen when it has broad-based community support. And that'll be evident in the speakers that we have with us here today. So let me introduce the first one. We're very fortunate that the market is in the congressional district of a woman who shares our community-based values and, more importantly, fights for them in Washington. So I want to ask our Congresswoman Shontel Brown to say a few words.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Dave. And I promise I'll be pretty brief here because there are a lot of speakers and you're going to hear a lot of things. But I want to start off by saying good morning, everyone. And thank you, Dave. Thank you all for being here. I am honored to be here with so many of my good friends. I think you're going to hear from Mayor Bibb, County Council President Miller. Want to thank City Council President Blaine Griffin. I think you're going to hear from Representative Bride Rose Sweeney and so many other elected officials who are here throughout the county and the city. This is an exciting day. And it would not be possible without the belief and the commitment of the Cleveland Public Market Corporations and so many local elected officials. And I'm particularly excited because the funding package for this redevelopment includes some federal dollars, including the New Market Tax Credit and the Healthy Food Financing Initiative. And let me just tell you a little bit more about that. In the House, I'm proud to support the funding and the financing that makes projects like the West Side Market possible. In fact, ever since I arrived in Congress, I've led my colleagues in the annual funding request for the Healthy Food Financing Initiative. And I'm proud to say this week, I will be introducing legislation to reauthorize the Healthy Food Funding Initiative. I think it's safe to say we can all agree that we need more groundbreakings like this across the country. And finally, as I take my seat, I'm going to say that the West Side Market, we know this to be a legacy, a landmark with a long-standing history of a place where people can still come together and love to gather. And with that, I am super excited to pass the mic back to Mike. Back to Dave, and thank you again for this great moment in history, in this great moment for our city. Congratulations, and I also have a resolution to present to you as well.
Thank you, Congressman. Well, I'm sure most of you know, for more than 100 years, the city of Cleveland owned and operated the West Side Market, and they will always own the market. But the nonprofit that I chair the board of is now operating it. And none of this would have happened, and the master plan would not have been developed, and we would not be here today were it not for Mayor Bibb, who decided that he felt that he recognized that the market was at risk, the future was not bright if there wasn't change, that the city could not continue to operate it and allow the market to be sustainable long-term, let alone achieve a new vision. And so he started the ball rolling, and we are so grateful that he did. And I want to ask him to come up and say a few words because The market might not be here tomorrow were it not for him.
Thank you so much, Dave. We're so proud of your leadership leading our new nonprofit corporation for the West Side Market. About 4 years ago, when I was then a candidate for mayor, I toured the West Side Market with Don Whitaker. And he showed me the very old freezer in the basement. And, you know, when I was running for mayor in 2021, I didn't realize how controversial the idea of having the city transfer ownership to a nonprofit would be. Because to me, it just made common sense to have experts running this important asset with the city being a key partner in this project. I also want to give recognition to Councilman Kerry McCormick, because for years, he's been fighting the good fight to make this idea possible. And it really took the leadership of Council President Blaine Griffin to make sure we got a good number of votes to get $23 million of legislation passed to make this possible. So from both sides of City Hall, you had real alignment to make sure we made the right investment and had the right strategy to ensure a long-term foundation for this important civic asset. And what excites me about this project is that this is not just Cleveland's market, it's not just our region's market, but this is the state's market as well too. And so I want to thank all of our partners who made today possible. I also want to thank Jessica Trevisano for her leadership. In this job leading this city, it's easy to get distracted by all the fires we have to put out literally and figuratively every day. But we recognized that we needed a leader inside City Hall who woke up every day to make this vision a reality. And Jessica certainly helped make this day possible. Thanks again, Jessica, for your leadership. We truly appreciate it. So it's an exciting day for our city and an exciting day for our region, and another example that this is Cleveland's era, from our investments at the airport to the work we're doing to transform our neighborhoods. This is our time, and it's going to take more public-private partnerships to keep our momentum possible. So again, thanks so much for being here, and thanks, Dave, for your leadership and all of this important work for our great market. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, as the Mayor said, the City Council has been an essential partner in this project. We wouldn't be here today without them. And in particular, we wouldn't be here were it not for the leadership of the Council President, Blaine Griffin, as the Mayor said, in steering through Council $23 million toward this project. By far the largest contribution to date toward a $68 million transformation project. And I know how difficult it is to be in the council president's position and to have so many demands for resources and support come before them. But they recognize the value of the market, not just to this part of Cleveland, but to all of Cleveland, in fact, to the entire region. And we're extremely grateful for that, and we're grateful for Blaine's leadership. So I'd like to ask Council President Blaine Griffin to come up.
Mr. Abbott, I'm going to, if I could, take the very personal liberty, because I can't do this without a team, and I would like if Kerry McCormick can actually come up here with me if he could. I apologize. I didn't know if he was on the agenda, but I want to make sure that I bring Councilman McCormick up here with me, because it truly was Councilman McCormick as majority leader who was a partner and who really helped us understand the importance of what needed to happen for this to become a nonprofit board, as well as to make sure that we had the correct funding. And he's right, Dave. Dave is right. I had the dubious honor of hearing from 17 members daily, nightly, on how we could actually, give money to the market, but there were also competing needs across the city. But I will say that they were no match for the lobbying effort of the vendors of the West Side Market. So I'm happy that the vendors and the leadership were able to get this major investment, but I'm happier for Cleveland. I'm actually a big fan of the market. I'm a foodie, so I love coming here to shop. And I just think it's so important, and anytime that we invest in these assets in the city of Cleveland, so that we could be able to use it as an example of not only everybody coming here to have a gathering place, but to show how these iconic places in the city of Cleveland electrify our city and bring people here from all over the region to really come and really experience Cleveland the way that it should. So I wanted to make sure that I gave my colleague an opportunity to tell his part of this story, because truly, Cleveland City Council would not be here behind this had it not been for the leadership of Carrie McCormick. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Council President. And I'll be very brief. I'll just say that this is a long time coming, and the neighborhoods that I represent, Ohio City, Tremont, Downtown, Stockyards, the residents in these communities have been fighting really, really hard to support the market, so I don't want to leave them out. And the other group that I want to shout out are our vendors. Our vendors have been very, very patient, and they have stood by and trusted in this process and are still with us here today. So I want to thank the vendors who we've been talking to for many years about the future of the market and what the future could hold, and they stood by us, and they are still with us today. The last thing I'll say is there's so many people here today that have touched the West Side Market, and I want to thank you. I'll tell you something, the two people, and I really want to emphasize this would not have happened without. In Lincoln Park in 2021, I asked Justin Bibb at the time, I said, do you support a future of the West Side Market that is innovative and does a public-private partnership? I think he was the only one on the stage that said yes. The only one. He has kept that promise. So I want to acknowledge him for doing that and putting the resources behind to ensure that this incredible Cleveland gem becomes a reality for its full potential. And then after the mayor led that initiative, it went into the council president's hands. And let me tell you something, the council president could flip pancakes for seniors and get criticized for it. So this man, council president, comes above, usurps the small politics that he has to deal with every single day, and does the right thing for the city of Cleveland as a whole. And he was able to get over $20 million authorized by city council. And as he said, it was not an easy fight, but as he does, he worked hard, he studied the issue, he educated his members, and diligently got us to the finish line. So I really want to emphasize and thank these two gentlemen that are here with us today.
Thank you, Councilman. I just want to echo Council President Griffin's description of Councilman McCormick. He was, without question, the most passionate and dedicated advocate among many for the market. We really appreciate your leadership all along. It's been terrific. An early supporter of this project that enabled us to build the momentum to get us here today was the state of Ohio. And through its capital budget, we had an early grant that really convinced others that this was a project that could generate the support needed to get this done. And that would not have happened without State Representative Bride Sweeney. She has a reputation, a bipartisan reputation in Columbus, all too rare, for getting things done. And we are so grateful that one of those things was state support for the West Side Market. So Representative Sweeney, if you'd come up.
Well, good morning, everyone. I am State Representative Bride Rose Sweeney, and as the ranking member of the Finance Committee down in Columbus, we had, I think, just in Cuyahoga County alone, over $1 billion worth of requests. So getting any dollar, let alone over $1 million into this project was no small feat. And no one works alone, and this was well supported with all the lawmakers in this county, both in the House and Senate. The one thing I do want to say as lawmakers who, we have the fortunate ability to celebrate groundbreakings. And sometimes I think that we forget that days like today don't just happen. This was far, far from inevitable. And as a girl who was born and raised in the city of Cleveland, who came to the market with some of the most fond memories of my life with my parents sitting on the radiator with my grandfather as he would tell me stories of him sitting on the radiator eating an Italian sandwich with his dad. This is a building, it's an institution in Cleveland that transcends generations. where people have family memories, where they can grow up. And it seems like almost the entire time of my life, I've heard about what the future of the West Side Market was going to look like over the past 30 years. And we've heard a lot of people maybe attempt, but to not really see the vision. And I just want to echo that this only happened because we had the right leaders at the right time, from Councilman McCormick, from the mayor, from our congresswoman to our county executive. This is what happens when we work together. This is a day of, I hope, so many more of when we all work together from the state to local to do great things, so that not just my family over the past 100 years can enjoy the West Side Market, but for the next 100 years and the 100 years after that, actually giving a foundation for us to continue to thrive. And so this is truly something to celebrate, and we also have a commendation signed by all of the members of the House of Representatives that represent Cuyahoga County to celebrate this remarkable moment. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Sweeney. One of the important pieces of financing of this project is tax credit financing, and I'd like to spend the next 2 or 3 hours talking about that. But I won't. I just want to point out that when we were up against an important deadline late last year, Cuyahoga County stepped forward to help us get to an important funding threshold that enabled us to secure the tax credit financing. And we have 2 representatives here from the county government. I'd first like to ask Council President Dale Miller to come up. As a city councilman, as a county councilman, and now as president of county council, he has been a tireless advocate for the market for all these decades, and we really appreciate it. Please, Councilman.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I first want to say that my colleague, the Vice President of Council, Yvonne Conwell, whose district this is in, really had hoped to be here, but she was not feeling well today, so she isn't able to make it, but she's been a very strong supporter of this project, and so we give her a shout out. And I also want to recognize my colleague Patrick Kelly from the 1st District, who is also with us today. It's a real honor to join you today as we mark the start of a new chapter for the West Side Market. And it's called the West Side Market, but being located so close to downtown, it serves the whole city of Cleveland and the whole of Cuyahoga County, so it's one of our most cherished institutions. Public markets have always played an important role in American cities. Long before there were even grocery stores or online shopping, markets like this were where people came to buy food and build community. They've always been gathering places where cultures mix, where relationships are formed and local economies grow. The West Side Market has carried on that tradition for more than 110 years. It's a space where Cleveland's diversity is on display, where entrepreneurs bring their dreams to life, and where generations have shopped side by side. That's why this transformation matters. Because the West Side Market deserves to be more than a historic site, it deserves to be a thriving modern hub that continues to serve our residents and attract visitors from around the world. On behalf of Cuyahoga County, I'm proud that we provided $1.3 million to help move this vision forward at a critical time. This is an investment in local business, in community vitality, and in preserving the spirit of Cleveland while preparing it for the future. When the new county government was formed 14 years or so ago, it was described as building the plane and flying it at the same time. Well, I want to take this opportunity to give a shout out to Rosemary Mudry, the executive director of the new nonprofit organization. She served capably as director of Cam's Corners Development and then moved on to take on this vast undertaking, both putting the organization together and directing this transformational project. So I salute her and the whole West Side Market team and the city of Cleveland and everyone else who was involved in this project, and to say that this is a dream come true and that the best days of the West Side Market are still to come. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Also here from the county is the county executive, Chris Ronayne. He didn't think he was actually going to be here today, but he did make it. We're glad he did, because he was a big advocate of the county stepping in to help us late last year. So, Chris.
Thank you, David. I was supposed to be on a plane, but I think there was a higher cause. It was to be here for the West Side Market transformational reopening. I want to start off by saying to David Abbott and the board, thank you for your tireless efforts to get us here. Yeah, the county was a helpful catalyst to get you the new markets, but you've raised $50 million thus far for this transformation. So let's give it up to the board and the donors who are out here today for doing that. I see a lot of faces in the crowd, and the first thought I really do have is that this truly is a public-private nonprofit partnership. It is great to be with the mayor, the council president, with our state officials, and with our county officials, but we give it right back to you, those that individually show up and you donate your time and your treasure to this project. Thank you for doing that. To the many contractors that are out here that donate their labor, but also I know often donate some of their dollars to these projects. Thank you guys. It would not happen without it being a public-private nonprofit partnership. And to David's point, we did something transformational. I do give it right back to Mayor Bibb and to Council President Griffin and Councilman McCormick on the city side and all the city council for seeing through the wisdom of bringing a nonprofit to bear for this market. To put that in perspective, I think they raised something like $300,000 in 2012 for the Centennial. That was when it was a city-owned asset, when it was a city-driven project. Now in 2025, they've raised $50 million toward a much larger goal, but they've raised that much more, and they couldn't have done it had they not been a nonprofit that was out driving funds and donors to the table. So a great idea, Mayor Bibb, Council President, Kerry. It's just a great idea that we put this into nonprofit hands. I just want to say, and I said this Friday night, well, let me first, before going any further, I want to give sort of a hats off to the women who have led this place. To Rosemary Moudry, our current executive director, to Jessica Trevisano, who pushed this through, to Amanda Dempsey, who's with me in my office but has been with this project for so long, and to two other persons who ran the Parks and Properties Department, Mayor, and those were Natalie Ronayne and Ann Zoller. They were working this place and working with the vendors all those years. So hats off to our women leaders who've run this place all those years. Kudos to you. The final thing I want to say is this reflection that this is the people's market. It actually, in the bylaws of a nonprofit, goes by the Cleveland Public Market. And yes, it's the West Side Market in name and the icon of the West Side Market, but it's everybody's market, as Council President Miller reflected on. It's the people's market. It really is. It's a neighborhood asset. This anchor of the West Side Market, just like the anchor, I saw Pat Conway of Great Lakes Brewing and St. Ignatius behind it. They're the anchors of this neighborhood that make this the special place it is. But I also want to say it's a regional market. As Dale said, people come from all places in the county and the region beyond to this special place. But it's also a global marketplace. One, because it welcomes 140 different ethnic communities that make up this greater Cleveland and are used to a place like this from places from which they came. It's a global marketplace. They feel comfortable here. I'll just give a personal anecdote of my own family. My wife's family is from Beirut. Her aunt, who now lives in Chardon but grew up in Lebanon, there's nothing more fun than to see her shop here every Saturday afternoon, but how she shops, how she bargains with the vendors, how she talks about whether the produce is up to her liking. That's what they're comfortable with in a way that I think brings people to the market from places all over the world. We brought a cousin who lives in Dubai through here the other day. It is a global showcase from here in Cleveland that we should be proud of, that we showcase to the rest of the world. I told the group Friday night, I've brought the mayor of LA through here. I've brought the Secretary of Labor that I called Rosemary in about 10 minutes. She had him on tour. And I brought the mayor of Chicago, and I will always reflect on his comments in 2005 when he said to his staff person standing next to him, "We got to get one of these in Chicago." You can't, right? You can't. It was built in 1912 here in Cleveland, and it's a global treasure that we have. So hats off to the last 110 plus years, but here's to the next century ahead to keep this what it always should be. The people's market on all sides of town, the people's market in a region, our global treasure, and the one that makes people from all over the world feel comfortable when they're here, whether they live in this neighborhood or whether they're visiting from throughout the world. Congratulations. Let's keep going. Thank you, David.
Thank you so much. One last speaker. I do want to say that there have been moments in this project when I have questioned the wisdom of my accepting the mayor's invitation to get involved. But there have been far, far, far more times when I have been excited by what we're going to do for Cleveland and gratified by the progress we have made so far. And if I have made one good decision during my time here, in concert with my colleagues on the Board of Trustees, it was hiring Rosemary Moudry. Rosemary has proven herself able to do so many things that she knew nothing about when she started doing this job. And she's been terrific. She's a master juggler, a master communicator, a terrific leader. And it is a pleasure, a privilege for all of us on the board to work with her. So Rosemary, you get the last word.
Well, thank you, Dave. That was really, really kind, and hopefully I can show some kindness back. I don't want to speak for a long time because so many folks have already said so many of the things that need to be said today. But, you know, it's been a thread through all of it, but the market is a very special place. And I think given by the sheer volume of people who are here, it's obvious how special this is to everyone in Northeast Ohio, and especially to Clevelanders. I think about, you know, other groundbreakings or ribbon cuttings I've done, and sometimes it's really hard to get people to show up. And, you know, we were sending out invites, and I kid you not, within 5 minutes of sending them out, people were just replying, yes, I'll be there, I'll be there, I'll be there, because I think everyone really recognizes what this means to the community. So I want to thank you again for being with us today. And I think some others have mentioned this, but I think it's worth deserving another round. There have been folks who have been dedicated to this cause for many years, before me, before the mayor, before the council president, who have been so focused on the market, who have seen for the last decade, you know, what other markets have done with these public-private partnerships. And so I really want to take an extra moment to give special thanks to the Westside Markets Tenants Association, and especially President Don Whitaker for his tremendous leadership over the past decade. I also want to highlight, and Chris highlighted her as well, but Amanda Dempsey, who's serving on our board, who along with Ohio City Inc. and former Councilman Joe Simperman and others in the Ohio City neighborhood and near West Side, who led the Centennial, who really planted the seed for this dream, who asked, you know, is it possible for this to go into a nonprofit? And it wasn't our time then, but it is our time now. And so really just, I want to give a shout out to all of those folks, Amanda, Ohio City Incorporated, and all of those folks who came before them. So please give a round of applause to them. As Councilman McCormick and some others have said, you know, today we are here really because of the promises made by our mayor, Justin Bibb, that the West Side Market would be a critical focus of his administration. And we are grateful that he fulfilled that promise, and even more grateful that he selected Jessica Trevisano to lead those efforts. She was an excellent choice and is essential in making today possible. Working with her has been a joy over the last year and a half, and I am so grateful to be on this ride with her. So please give her a round of applause. Thank you again to Council President Blaine Griffin, who and Ward Councilman Carrie McCormick, who others have already mentioned, had the tremendous task of actually ushering dollars and legislation through. You know, we emphasized the dollars that needed to happen, but there was also a convincing of the legislation that actually enabled the nonprofit to happen. That was another huge piece of legislation, complicated negotiations, and really deserves the credit of another recognition. So thank you both and all of City Council for your leadership. I'm also really tremendously grateful to Cleveland Public Market Corporation's Board of Directors. They are an astounding group who have given so generously of their time and enthusiastically of their talent, and who have provided me and my team with countless hours of support and advice and willingness to jump in wherever and whenever is needed. I truly have never worked with a board or group of people who are so astounding. And I really, Dave gave me special thanks, but really the special thanks goes to Dave, because this past year and a half working with him and his leadership, he really is one of a kind, and he said it was a pleasure working with me, but really the pleasure has been all mine, and I'm just so grateful to his leadership. So thank you to Dave, and please give him a round of applause. Folks have recognize the generous support of many of our government partners, including, the federal partners and the state of Ohio and Cuyahoga County. But we are also here because of the private and philanthropic dollars that have been put into this project. So I want to give a special thanks to George Gunn Foundation, Connor Family Foundation, KeyBank, Huntington Bank, Codrington Foundation, and Eaton Corporation, who in 2024 recognized the importance of reaching a funding milestone by the end of the year and were willing to be the first players to jump in. So special thanks to them. Dave also mentioned that we could talk for 2 or 3 hours about Newmarket's tax credits and historic tax credits, which we won't do. But if you ever want to have a beer and hear more about them, we're happy to. You might need a few, actually. But I want to thank our partners who helped make those investments possible. So please give a round of applause to PNC, who's one of our investors. To PPG, who's another investor. And to Cleveland Development Advisors, who also helped pull this whole thing together and put together the investment package. As Dave alluded to, the financing has been very complicated, and I do, as we look to the future, I want to think about and thank the team that's been here and is helping us lead to the future. So I want to give thanks to Thompson Hine and Robin Minter-Smyer's leadership, to PMC Finance, Ryan Summers and Kalinchek's leadership, and to PMC owners reps, Chris Panicki and Steve Zanoni, who have really been an important part of this project and really helped school us on tax credits and make sure the board and I were comfortable and ready to move forward. So big thank you to all of you. I'd also like to give thanks. We have had an amazing project team that's just getting started, but our architecture and engineering team, DLR and Robert P. Madison International, have been just truly tremendous. We put out there a timeline for them that's maybe half the time that most projects would have to develop the plans. And to their credit, they stuck with it. They fulfilled every promise they made in that interview room, and they are a really special team to work with. So thank you. Finally, their work is just beginning, but we are grateful already to have Independence and AKA team on our side. Even from the little that they've been in the project, folks have commented to me from around, like, these folks are really something. And we had folks who were consulting on the master plan, Hugh Boyd and Ted Spitzer, and Hugh was just in town last week, and he kept remarking on how amazing and how strong Independence seemed and AKA, and I think we're really in great shape, and I'm really looking forward to working with them. And now I want to ask the folks, and maybe Patrick's going to help, but the folks who have been speaking here with me today, join me as we break ground. We're going to come on up here. Please join me as we break ground on this amazing and wonderful day. We couldn't have asked for a better Cleveland day, so thank you.